Hi guys, it's Stephen Edwards from CTA Accountant. So if you're an accountant and you're watching this, you may have possibly come across me before, possibly not. I'm not that well known. But if you have come across me, I'm normally one of the loudest in the room, so that's why you probably do remember me if you have met me before. Anyway, so I've been in practice for 20 years. I've been running my own accounting practice for around 11 years. And I am literally about to release my first book, which is How to Build a Business That Runs Without You. And there will be an updated edition, and it will be how to run a practice, so an accounting practice that runs without you. And, I think people can be very black and white when it comes to these things. They can be, this is not possible. Yes, it's easy. Anyone can do it. And the truth is, it's normally somewhere in the middle. And I'm a big believer in grey areas, actually, which is quite interesting being an accountant saying that. But essentially, my own journey is, I've stopped kind of identifying as an accountant quite a few years ago, probably at least 5, 6 years ago, closer to 10 years ago. I think probably by about year 3, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go all in on acting and thinking and showing up day to day as a business owner and not an accountant. And when I look backwards, I didn't have this pyramid, this plan that I have now. I didn't have it back then. But when I connect the dots, and Steve Jobs said you can only connect the dots looking backwards, and I have connected the dots. These are some of the most fundamental steps and part of the process to build a practice that can give you the life you want. And when I say it can run without you, I don't, I'm not saying you should not work and you should be on a beach and you should be completely oblivious to the business, but you should be kind of more like at least a proper CEO, or more like, even better, someone on the board in your own business. So, the combination of what I've been doing in my business last year, I took a month off. I turned 40. Yes, I know I look a lot younger, a lot older probably than 40, but I took a month off. A year would be amazing. Maybe that could be on the roadmap, but I took a month off. In May 23, I went to Florida for 3 weeks and I boated a week on and I took a month off. And a month, was inspired by Mike Michalowic's Clockwork, but, not to give him all the credit, I read the Business E-Myth really early on in my journey. So I had that mindset that I'm an owner and, or I'm building a business so I can be an owner and not a technician within my business. And having that month off, you have to have a lot of things in place in your business. I speak to some accountants and they're like, do you know what? I don't really do any work. I'm not mentioning any names, but I've spoke to people, I don't really do much. Or, I do all I do is the reviewing, the client meetings, every sales meeting, every this. And I'm like, that's not what I'm thinking. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, to be a proper business owner in your practice, you should be doing none of the accounting work. And we can get to the point where you've got a choice, and it's different between needing and wanting. If you need to be a technician, you need to be the bottleneck, and you need to be the person that meets every client, signs every file, reviews every file, and all that stuff. That's a completely different place to building a business that can run without you. And you choose to do that. And to a very large extent, that's where I am now. I am not saying I've got every single thing locked down 100% perfect, because I don't think that's the reality that a lot of people are willing to share with you behind the scenes. That we practice and show up to be the best person we could be in our business and the best business owner and so on. And it's always a journey. But I am in 9 and 10. I am in the top of that pyramid in my business in terms of where my energy, my time is. And it can change. 2024 has actually been quite a tough year for us in many ways. So this opening video on this channel, I've just done a magic trick. I've just got a cup of tea in my hand because I paused the video. So this opening video in this channel is just to explain what am I trying to do in this channel, what's it all about, how can I help you, what sort of content can you find on here. So basically, the high performance practice for me is a practice that does most of the work for you. You know, you don't need to be putting most of the work in as the owner. High performance practice is one that can run to a large extent without you, and it's based off the entrepreneurial or the accountant's freedom system, and it's having certain pillars in place so we can get towards the top of that pyramid. And it might look a little bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I think yes, that's a great, it's a very powerful sort of system what he created, you know, several decades ago. And because actually, as you move up the pyramid, we're living into more of our freedoms. And a lot of people talk about money freedom, they talk about time freedom, but what about freedom of purpose and freedom of relationship? I've got to give credit to Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach, for those two. You know, being around the people you want to be around, team members, clients, suppliers, spending your time with the people you want to spend your time with. Freedom of purpose is doing the things that energizes you, motivates you, fascinates you. It basically gives you energy, doesn't drain your energy. And that's the sort of practice we want. That can also give you the income and the lifestyle you want as well. So we are profit first accountants. We help our clients with the whole profit first system. But actually, I practice what I preach. I do it in my own business, and I help other people. You know, ultimately, your business needs to deliver enough profit, and you know, and everything has to give you the life you want. And that's what I really want to help people with. I will be sharing things. So I'll be sharing loads of free content on this channel. I do work with accountants as well. So if you want one-to-one guidance, just reach out to me and we can have a chat to see what that looks like. But I will be sharing sort of more details on that in the future. So just introducing really quickly the kind of the milestones, the 10 steps. So the foundation, the platform is mindset and well-being. And I will probably go deep into some of these in the future. Most accountants I come across tend to be in similar communities, you know, over the years, not so much now, but maybe the Go Proposal community. You know, there's Simon Chaplin's, there's Reza's, you know, I've got one called where accountants discuss pricing. I'm, you know, not to confuse this channel with, I'm building something called Client Max. But wherever you hang around, you could be in one of Jerry's groups. There's lots of communities for accountants, or they could be aligned into software. It could be the Gap community, the Clarity community. So most of the accountants, the point I'm making is most of the accountants in these kind of tribes and communities, generally I would put in the top 20% in terms of they're ahead of the game. They're trying to better themselves. They're not this kind of dinosaur box ticking accountant I refer to. So the mindset and well-being, you're probably doing more than others. However, do not undervalue or underestimate how powerful sorting your mindset and your well-being is before you do anything else. You know, I'm literally going through the process of it becoming right now, as we speak, a certified high performance coach, which is linking nicely into why I've called the channel this, by Brendan Burchard, where I help people be the best version of themselves. And I'm going to try not to talk about that sort of stuff too much. I want to focus on tangible things in your practice, but it is part of who I am, you know, focusing on mindset and well-being. So it's super important. I'm not going to go into all the specifics now, but it's, you know, I'm a big believer in that as a platform. It all starts there, in my opinion. Then you need a clear vision. If you don't know what you're trying to do, you're not going to do it. I mean, it goes without saying, if you're trying to get across the Atlantic to go to America, you need to know that's where you're heading. Because if you just get in, you know, just book a plane ticket for anywhere, you're gonna go somewhere else. So you just jump on a boat, you're going to end up in a completely different place. So you need to have a vision in terms of where you're going. And most accountants, funny enough, don't have a clear numbers plan. And don't feel embarrassed if you're watching this. You're like, I haven't got a clear numbers plan for my practice for the next 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. And 10 years is getting a bit stupid, but 10 years should be bigger picture, very broad numbers. But you should at least have a clear 1 to 3 year plan for the numbers in your business to prove your model works, how you're going to grow, how you're going to scale, what's your gross profit percentage going to be, what sort of team members do you need, all that sort of stuff. Values, you know, I've had discussions in other groups before where someone said, you know, is it a bit corporate jargon? And I'm like, look, if you think values are corporate jargon, they will be corporate jargon. You know, whether you can or you can't, you're probably right. I think that's a Henry Ford quote. And if you think values are important or not important, it's whatever you believe. But I can promise you, businesses that are aligned have strong values, whether they're written down or not, they're strong values. It has been a game changer in our business having proper core values, and I could talk about that in the future. Having a clear team structure, which can evolve, it can change. But if you look at football teams, football clubs, Pep Guardiola, for example, he's got an idea how he wants his team to play, but it might evolve. But you need some kind of strategy around that. Scorecard. So that's how do you keep track? It's really KPIs, but how do you keep track of the most important things in your business week in, week out? Who's accountable for what number? Operations. So just basically the running of the business. What's the kind of the platform and the foundations for the running of the business, your marketing system, your finance profitability system. Funny enough, profit first is a form of finance profitability system. It'd be interesting to know, the accountants watching this, how many of you guys have a proper system for your own finances? Because I'll be honest, I didn't used to. Up to a few years ago. It's a bit like the builder who's been kind of working on other people's houses all day long, and he doesn't really want to work on his own in the evening and weekends. Once we put all these strong foundations in place, we can then start to free ourselves from the operations and remove ourselves as a bottleneck from the business. And it's not completely linear. In an ideal world, it goes like this, but actually you might be working on some of these things simultaneously. But in an ideal world, it would loosely be in this order. But the bottom layer is definitely, having a plan for your business. We're then in the process of building your business. We're then in the process of removing yourself as a bottleneck to choose to do what you want to do, which is step 10. So I'm going to go deeper into these areas. I'm also going to cover things like high performance as a business owner, entrepreneurial mindset, automation, practice software, profit first. Please let me know if there's certain topics you want me to cover on this channel. Thanks, guys.